I talked to some of the old timers and some of the UFC guys, and they're like, man, I've been on the mats for 30, 40 years. Like, and then the goal is never to retire, but like, how do I stay on the mats till the last day I possibly can? And you have to find ways to keep it fun and adapt to what your lifestyle is, because we go through seasons as investors where sometimes you got a bunch of time and a bunch of patience, and other times like you're like, nah, like none of this is worth it. And then sometimes you go back, but I think sometimes reinventing the game keeps things fun and new challenges. But one thing that I think you said, which was awesome, was, you see things change, you jump on them, novations, this thing now, I'm taking advantage of that now. And I was having a conversation recently with one of my buddies, and this guy showed me this really high level thing at jiu-jitsu. He's like a very famous jiu-jitsu guy. And it was this really basic thing where like he moves and then the guy bases out. And the second the guy's hand moves, it creates this little second of opportunity for you to kind of get under him and get on top and start winning the fight. And it was something that if I showed it to a new guy, he wouldn't understand that he got a split second opportunity. He wouldn't see the benefit there of like, you just created this small opening, but you don't know enough to take advantage of that opening. So you don't see it for what the opportunity it is. And I feel like that's kind of where you're at with this game. And I always wonder, did that come from hockey where you're like, man, I got this opening to take this shot. I have to take it now, and being able to jump on it, where I think a lot of people, they overthink opportunities or they hesitate, and athletes learn, I have a small window of opportunity, I have to jump on it. So has that played into your decision-making process as a business owner?
Yeah, I think having a background in sports gives you a higher tolerance of risk, if you will, and knowing that you're going to bet on yourself. You feel like you're going to win no matter what. And I think that's part of being, there's some people that are optimistic, some people are pessimistic, right? I'm more on the optimistic side, where I always know that no matter what's the worst that can happen, you're going to learn something new, right? So when you try something, and this has to do with real estate, being in business for a little while. Well, I have a buddy who is kind of a good little story. I have a buddy who owns two supermarkets, and he told me a little bit about how the supermarket business model goes, and I never knew this. So if you picture and imagine walking into a supermarket, where do they start you off? They don't start you off in the middle where they're selling ketchup, pasta. They start you off typically in the florist area, the deli, the produce area, all on the perimeter of every single supermarket. It's about a 30% profit margin. Everything in the middle is only about 2 to 3% profit margin. That's why every supermarket's set up the way they are. So that, they guide you into where they make the most amount of money. But it's the same thing in real estate. I use that as an example in real estate. It's money's made on the perimeter. So for instance, let's go back to, back in the coaching world days, right? You see a lot of different coaching programs make money. They add other products in, whether it's LLCs, whether it's, turnkey providers, etc. Money's made a lot of times on the perimeter. We could do the same thing. If we start business, I'll tie this into, someone who starts as a rehabber. A lot of rehabbers, this, being in all these masterminds, they start off as a rehabber. I did. Start off as a rehabber, and then I heard someone speak about pre-foreclosure and short sales. So then I learned that. So you added that tool to your tool belt. Then I learned what wholesaling was. And you realize that because as a rehabber, you can't buy every deal because it doesn't fit within a box. However, there is money there. There's profit there. There's ways to make money on that one deal, right? We just have to figure out how to do it. And over time, that's to your point, over time, we learn those different tricks to how to make money. And there's other business opportunities too within real estate. I started a virtual assistant company. I lend a little money, right? So there's all a little, a lot of different things that you can add on to your knowledge base right here.